Hello! I want to share a video with you. It's going to be a long video, but I want to share how I chose to scrap my pictures from my cruise. I wanted it to be interactive. I knew that I wanted it to be interactive. I knew that I wanted to be able to add memorabilia, things that I collected throughout the cruise. I knew I wanted to have lots of room for journaling. I knew I wanted to have lots of room for pictures. In total, I put in about 101 pictures in this, and then I have lots of room left if I want to add a few of the other ones that I didn't print. I took about 350 pictures on the cruise, and it was only a 5-day cruise. But I picked the best ones and I included them in here, and I wanted to share that with you. I thought it was a really fun way to scrap my pictures. Okay, so to start off with, I'll just show you the whole thing. This is the top view of it, and then I'll lay it down so you can see the front. So what you see if it is on your desk, this is what you would see. I tried really hard to keep it simple. I did not use any pattern paper because I did not want anything to distract from the pictures. I wanted the pictures to be the main focus. I kept everything else very simple. I used craft cardstock only, and I used a few tags here and there and a few stamps. One stamp for the date, and one stamp set to decorate the tags a little bit. And then anywhere where I wanted to put journaling, I used graph paper, and I inked up the graph paper a little bit so that it wasn't so stark white, because everything else in here was brown and kind of tan. I wanted to keep it all coordinated. So to start off, let me just start off by telling you about the box. The box itself I put together from cardboard. The outside of the box was black. I did not want it black, so I painted over it with white, and I wanted a little bit of texture on the cardboard itself. So into the white paint, I mixed in a tiny bit of baking soda, and what that did is it gave it a texture of like stucco, sort of. It's just a rough texture, like fine sandpaper, and that's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted a little bit of a texture. I didn't want it to be smooth so that all the brush strokes would show. I just wanted a nice texture to it, and I ended up with something that I like. And then after the white dried, I painted it with tan. I did 2 coats of tan paint. I'm not really happy with the tan that came out, but it's good enough for what I wanted. Into the tan, I added a tiny bit of brown to darken it up a little bit for the second coat, and then after that I sprayed it with my homemade glimmer mist to make it a little bit sparkly, and then in the end I was a little bit happier with it. I covered the edge of the cardboard because I didn't want the, what you can see, the edge of it. I just covered it with a little bit of bling. I'm not sure that I like the bling, but I didn't like the cardboard showing, the cardboard pieces, so I'm living with the bling. I just put this little bit of crocheted trim on the top of it. I dyed it brown. And then here I have a Prima flower that is white, and a that's a sequin flower from Making Memories, I believe. It's old. Yeah, it's from K & Company. And there's little sequins in here, which I know you can't see because of the light, but there's little sequins in here, so the sequin flower looks really good with it. And then underneath that, you can't see because I hot glued it on, but there's a Tim Holtz swivel clasp, which is holding this charm, and then attached to the swivel clasp is a suitcase charm and an airplane charm, and they kind of look really cool when they're hanging down. Then the other thing that I did to the outside of the box is right here. I have this change that I received in Jamaica and the Grand Cayman Islands, and I wanted to incorporate that into the mini, but if I stuck it in there, it just kept getting lost. So I decided to hot glue it to the outside of the box, and it's a little bit of extra touch there. And then over here on this side of the box, our cards, they kept getting lost inside the box too, but I wanted to keep them in there too, so I made a little pocket and just stuck them in there so they stick out from the top, kind of like that, and it looks kind of cool. Okay, and then I'm just going to go through it real quick with you. Well, not real quick, but I'm going to go through it with you. So what you do is you just kind of thumb through it like it's a filing thing, and you can see all the stuff that you want to see. I put on our what are these called? Baggage, no, not our claim tickets, our boarding passes. I stuck them in there, stapled them all together and stuck them in there. And then I have this image of my daughter and husband on the plane, and then my husband and daughter, and this is on the train, not the train, this is on the taxi on the way to the hotel when we landed in Miami. And then you can see what I mean. I inked the edges and I wrote in brown, and then I stamped the date on the bottom. I tried to keep that part similar. The date is on a lot of the pictures. On this one, I just made a little flip up, and I stamped the date there. And I left room on the back for journaling, which I will do eventually. And on this one, this was one of my favorites. I just like the way that it turned out. On this side, it's my husband and daughter. This is on our way to the ship, in the taxi taking us to the ship. Underneath here, I have a tag, which I will be using for the journaling, just stuck inside the picture there. And then when you flip it over, this is the picture of all of us boarding the cruise, and then this is our luggage tag for the cruise, and then a little tag for journaling about boarding the ship. And then here I just have a pad from the ship. Here I have a picture. This is from on board the ship. It's a picture of Miami, and then that's the same thing. I tried to make this look like it was a Polaroid. I'm kind of happy with how it turned out. I put a little peach flower on there just for a little bit of embellishment. This one, I stuck our picture onto some plastic packaging. I don't know if you can tell there, you can kind of see the glare. I just stuck it onto some plastic packaging and then journaled on the back of it and stuck a flower on both sides. On this one, my husband loves this. He calls it Attack of the Hair. It's my daughter and I dated the bottom. I just stamped the date on the bottom and then tried to make it look like a Polaroid again, and then left the back for journaling. Here is me and my daughter, and my husband and my daughter, and I left the back for journaling again. I have lots of journaling that I want to do on this, and I have not done it all. I have done some of it, and the rest I will do later. This is just a thing from the ship that I threw in there. This is a picture that I took from the back of the ship and a picture that I took from the front of the ship. And in behind, I put a tag for some journaling. And then behind that, to cover the tape holding the pocket for the tag, I just put a postcard. Then we have these, which are our fun times for that was telling us what was going to happen on the ship the next day or whatever. And then we have us playing golf. I just made another little flip book, me and my husband, and my daughter and my husband. And I intend to journal up here, but have not yet done it. Here's another one on plastic. This was a favorite family picture of mine. I like the way that it turned out. I put graph paper here to cover. On the back side I put a picture, and I wanted to cover it, so I put the graph paper there for journaling and stuck the flower. And then on the back side is my daughter. And then here we have another fun times. And then here I have a folder. In this folder came the picture that I bought. I bought one of the pictures that they took. And so this is the folder that it came in, that I purchased it in. So I used it. I stuck a picture of my husband, my daughter, and my 2 nieces onto the cover. And then inside, my daughter and my niece dancing. And then over here, I stuck, I have a pocket with a postcard here, and I can stick in lots of journaling there. And I dated it at the top there. So I plan to use that for lots of journaling. And then here I have my husband coming down the water slide, my daughter coming down the water slide, and my daughter giving me a dirty look for not going down the water slide myself. And then back behind I have another tag for journaling and another postcard. I bought a package of postcards because I knew that I wanted to include postcards in my plan here, or in what I wanted to make. I didn't know what I wanted to make, but I knew I wanted to incorporate postcards. Here's another fun times. Here is a postcard from Ochos Rios, Jamaica. Nothing on the back, but I'm going to journal on the back. And here is a set of pictures. This is us looking out over Jamaica. And I used a Jamaica postcard. It says it's from Jamaica. I used it for journaling because I didn't like the picture that was on the front, so I just stuck it down and journaled. And I dated here the pictures. And then this opens up like this. And then closes like that. Here is another Jamaica postcard. And then this is just a pull-out of pictures of us getting back on the ship or getting off the ship, a little of both. We didn't stay in Jamaica very long because we didn't have very much fun. So we got back on the ship and we had way more fun back on the ship than we did in Jamaica. Here is another Jamaica postcard. And here is a Jamaican dollar, or a Jamaican money. This is $50 in Jamaican, which was actually about 50 cents of my money. So that was part of my change, and I kept it because I knew I wanted to incorporate it into my book, whatever I was planning on doing. And then here is my daughter dancing, and then my daughter and my 2 nieces dancing at the nightclub when we were waiting for the family comedian. There was a family comedian act, and we were waiting for that. It was very funny, by the way. And then a tag so I can journal, and a postcard stuck in the back of it just for decoration. And then you can tell I did not finish the back of this one. I have to put something on there. And then here's a family picture of everyone minus one person who wasn't at there when I asked a gentleman to take our picture, and just as I asked him, the other person left. So that's our family, and then I left room for journaling. And this is, now we are in the Cayman Islands. So here's a picture of my daughter swimming in the saltwater lagoon, and then my husband and daughter swimming in the saltwater lagoon where you could swim with fish, and I think there was sea turtles in there. We didn't see any of the sea turtles, but we did see a few of the fish, but they didn't stay in there very long because they didn't like how slimy it was. So we went over to the freshwater lagoon, which had a waterfall, which was kind of cool. And that's my husband and daughter, and me and my daughter. And then I used the top for journaling, and that's my daughter in the freshwater lagoon. That was much more fun. And then here we have another postcard, which I'm going to journal on. And this postcard is actually from Grand Cayman. And then I kept this. This was a brochure about the excursion that we did there. We went to Turtles, Turtles, and More Turtles. And I dated the top of it, the date that we went. And I stuck our wristbands onto it, and I cut them all into tags, and then I just stuck them on with a brad. And then here is a postcard from the turtle farm. And then we have a nice family picture from when we got back on the bus to take us back to the ship. And another family picture I dated up here. And this one I just stuck into a page protector and cut the page protector to fit, and then folded this piece of craft paper over the top of it to close it at the top. Here I have some Grand Cayman money, $1. This was worth a little bit more. I think this was about $1. I want to say it was $1.20 in American money. So I had to pay $1.20 for that. And then here we have a brag type book that I made to display all of the pictures from the turtle farm and from the Grand Cayman that I liked. All I did is I took a page protector, I cut the end of it off and made it so that it would fit just the pictures. So this is the top and this is the bottom half. It's a 8.5 by 11 page protector, and I put one in the top and one in the bottom, and then I folded it in half and I matted each picture too. So this is our ship that you could see. I took this picture from the shore. This one, it didn't dock in the Grand Caymans. It just stayed out to sea, and then you take a little boat, this one, into the Grand Cayman, and then you take the little boat back to the big ship. There are iguanas everywhere, so of course I had to get a picture of an iguana. This is my daughter holding the sea turtle, and my husband holding the sea turtle. That part was pretty cool. And then here is some pictures that I took of the sea turtles. And then my daughter looking at the sea turtles and more sea turtles and lots of sea turtles, because obviously the name of the excursion that we were on was Turtles, Turtles, and More Turtles. After I folded this in half, I put some binding through it 3 times to make sure it was really sturdy, and then I tied a knot in it, and then I stuck, this is a swivel clasp without the actual swivel clasp. I just stuck the chain. Oh no, this is just chain. I forgot. I just stuck a little piece of chain on there, tied it through the baker's twine, and then hooked this charm to it. It says Journey, and it kind of just hang out. So it kind of just hangs there. Then this is another fun time. And then our last day on the ship. This is pictures of the water and my husband looking out over the water. And then on the back side I journal about how we loved the color of this water so much that we had decided we were going to paint one of our walls this color, and also about how cool it was to see flying fish. When the ship would go by a school of flying fish, you could see them fly out of the water. And then here I have us sad to be leaving. This is when we were getting off of the ship, so it's early in the morning, and we were sad to be getting off the ship. However, that day we had a 17-hour day traveling. We had a long layover, and then the layover was made longer because we had a delay. So when we did get home, we were very happy to be home. So this is us happy to be home. And then here, this is when I bought the postcards. They came in this fun little folder, and I had a few pictures left that I didn't want to use, so all I did was dated them, or that I didn't want just floating around. So I just dated them and matted them, and then I journaled on the back and stuck them in this little folder. You can see, oh, I didn't journal on that one. This is a cool picture because the water was so clear in the Cayman Islands that we could see fish. All you can see is shadows, but we could see like the color on the fish from the boat that we were on. It was pretty cool. And then that one. So that's what I chose to do with the extra pictures, and that's how I got a ton of pictures in here. I just stuck them in there. And then lastly, I made this little book and just stuck a little charm on the spine there, or on the rings. And this is, I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise before, you know that when you go to dinner, they turn down your room, and when they do that, they make a little towel animal and they put it on your bed. And I thought it was so cute. We took a picture every day, and I thought this would be a good way to display them. So it turned out kind of cool. Anyways, if you have any questions about how I made this or how I put it together, please feel free to email me. My email is annamarie29@gmail.com. I would be happy to answer any questions. And I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.